Okay, so we are on page number 3, and page number 3 is actually asking for you to write the equation of a line. And normally when it tells me that, I start off with y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. And then it says that it passes through 2 specific points. So when I look at those 2 specific points, the first one I see, I consider the x1, y1. And the second one I see is just for me the xy. And it doesn't matter which one you choose as which, but that's what I'm going to be consistent with at the board. So if I fill in y, I'm filling in a 3. If I fill in y1, I'm filling in a 5. If I fill in an m, I'm at a loss because I don't know what it is. But if I fill in x, I get a 4. And if I fill in x1, I get a -4. So usually the negative numbers I'll put in parentheses. On the left-hand side, the subtraction gives me -2. And on the right-hand side, please remember, this becomes plus a positive, so it's m times 8. And in the end, in order for me to solve for m, you just have to divide both sides by the number 8. Now that fraction reduces to lowest terms, and your answer is m equals -1/4. And they didn't ask for just the slope. They want the equation of the line. So I'm going to go back to my black marker, and I now still have my y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. And this time you ignore the xy because you have the x1, y1, and you now have m. So when I fill this in, it is y minus 5 is equal to -1/4, and then parentheses x minus a -4. I will clean it up so that that double negative at the end becomes plus a positive, and then I will look to see what the question says. Okay, the question is written down incorrectly. My apologies, none of the work is wrong. It is supposed to say slope intercept form, which leads me to believe that when you take your test, it's still going to say point intercept. There's no such thing as point intercept. It's slope intercept. This is not slope intercept. You have to know that slope intercept form, just in general, I'll put it over here, is the y equals mx plus b. This is the format that you need to have your answer in, because that's what slope intercept form is. So I'm going to get there. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to move it down, is y minus 5. I'm going to distribute. I'm going to get -1/4 x. And I'm going to get -1, and then I'm going to add 5 to both sides and get y equals -1/4 x plus 4. This is the answer that they are looking for in question number 4. Okay, so I will erase this whole thing so that I have room to do question number 5. Okay, write the equation of a line that is parallel to. So before I start, they want the equation of a line. So I like to start off with y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. That's how I like to actually begin. And basically, when they tell you that it is parallel to a specific line, parallel lines have the same slope, and you need to know that, so that when you take your line that's given to you, you have to figure out what the slope is. So I'm going to subtract the 3x from both sides. I'll get my -2y equals -3x +4, and then I will divide the entire equation by -2, and I'll clean up the signs as I go. So on the left, it is just y. In the middle, it's 3 over 2x. And on the far right, it is -2. That blue equation has a slope of 3 over 2, and it also has a y-intercept of -2. But we just need to scale the slope because parallel lines have the same slope. So you know that that 3 over 2 is what is going to be filled in for that. Now, if I keep reading this question, it says it passes through the point -6, 5. The -6 is the x1, and the 5 is the y1, and that's what you fill in. So I'm going back to the black marker, and I'm going to fill in y minus 5 equals 3/2, and then x minus a -6. And of course I'm going to clean it up because this double dash becomes plus a positive. You should know that. So when I rewrite this problem, I get y minus 5 is equal to 3 over 2 x plus 6. And then I look to see what type of form they want me to leave it in. And it says point slope. This is the point slope form. So I'm going to write it in green so that you know you're done with question 5. But just so that you know, the point slope form is the y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1 form. So make sure that you know that. Okay, getting rid of this. We have 2 more questions on that page. So, for number 6, write the equation of a line. I usually just start off with y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. It then says that it is perpendicular to this. First, I need to know what the slope is. So off to the right, I have my 4x plus 5y equals 12. I'm going to solve for y by subtracting 4x from both sides first. That will give me my 5y is equal to -4x plus 12. And then I'll clean it up as I go, but I'm going to divide everything by +5. So on the left, when I divide, I get y. In the middle, when I divide, I get -4/5 x. And on the far right, when I divide, I get +12 over 5. This equation has a slope of -4 over 5, and it has a y-intercept of 12 over 5. You're going to look at the slope. You're not going to take it, you're just going to look at the slope. Because perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So if that slope is negative, this slope is positive. If that says 4 over 5, then this one says 5 over 4. So perpendicular lines have opposite signs and reciprocal slopes. And if you continue reading, it does give you a point, so this must be the x1 and this must be the y1 for the point. So when I go to fill it in, it is y minus y1 equals the m value that I have, and then x minus the x1. And I'll clean up the signs because I know that double dash becomes plus a positive. So I have y plus 2 is equal to 5 over 4, and then x minus 3. But remember, I'm not done reading the question. It says specifically in general form. This is not general form. General form, basically, I'll write it over here where I have space. General form is ax plus by is equal to c. That's general form. You're not allowed to have any decimals or fractions in general form either. So I'm going to start to clean this up. I'll start doing it in green to get to that form. So it's y plus 2 And when you multiply, you get 5/4 x. But when you multiply, you get negative 15/4. First and foremost, you're not allowed to have any fractions. So I'm actually going to multiply this entire equation by the number 4. 4 times y is 4y. 4 times 2 is positive 8. 4 times 5/4 is 5x. And 4 times negative 15/4 is negative 15. So now there are no longer any fractions, but you want the x and the y on the same side. So I am going to subtract the 5x from both sides. And I'll write it here, but then I'll have to move it. That will give me 4y minus 5x plus 8 is equal to negative 15. But then you have to move the constant to the right. So I ran out of room, but I'm going to subtract 8 and subtract 8 and see what I get. So I have 4y minus 5x. And a negative 15 and a negative 8 is a negative 23. And I'm perfectly fine with that. And you can leave this as your answer. If you solved it a little bit differently than I did, yours has all the signs switched. You have a negative 4y, you have a positive 5x, and you have a positive 23. So they're both exactly the same, and it doesn't matter which way you have done the problem. Make sure you know that this is the format for general form. No fractions or decimals can actually appear in the problem. Okay, so my last one. Write the equation of a line, and I am guilty of whenever I see equation of a line, I write down y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1, and I'm good to go. But if I read further, it actually says that it's perpendicular to the y-axis. If ever it says perpendicular to or parallel to a horizontal or a vertical line, do not use this. Just graph it. It passes through the point 1 across and down 6, which I'm going to label right here. And if the y-axis runs vertically, then perpendicular runs horizontally. This is the line. Your answer is that green line. And when you look at the green line, it only intersects the y-axis at a height of negative 6. So it's y equals negative 6. That's the answer. And there's no extra work that has to be done.